that way I'll trust that there's no problem. And they're like, no, it's not something where I said, listen, I'm telling you right now, you put me up in a floater.
They think we're both not good at the games, or they think you're just not good at the games?
I'm going to break it down for you. Hold on. I said, listen, you put me up in a floater. As a sign of good faith, you get rid of the floater. I'll go home the next week or the week after. And they're like, well, we have to think about it. And I said, okay. And I said, now, let me break it down for you even a little bit more. And, go ahead. Erica, I'm sorry. Can I have, like, a few minutes along with Boogie? It'll just take me a few minutes. Sorry, I know that's weird. Is that okay? I don't know how else to say that. Okay. So,
one thing.
You can.
That's all right.
Okay. So, I'm like, they're like, look, we're gonna put the Boogie on. I said, no, listen, here's your options. If you put up me in a floater as a sign of good faith, get rid of me, and I'll leave the next week or the week after. No problems, hands down, no question asked. So you put a Boogie in a floater, I'm really not comfortable with that. That will enrage me. I will stay, and I will try to eliminate you. So then, in case they're doing nothing, he left, and it was just Janelle and Hallie and I. They said, well, we have to think about it. I said, think about it all you want. You don't have the power here. I have the power because no one else will leave. And I said, you put Boogie up, I'll win POV, and I'll fucking take him off, and then you got 2 floaters up there. Then what are you going to do? And I said, you put Boogie and I up there. Well, Boogie's going to win POV, or I'm going to win POV, and the floater's going to go, and I'll swing the fucking vote, so I'm going to throw a floater out. And I said, you guys can coast this week and get rid of a floater as a sign of good faith, and I'm going to give you 2 weeks, or 1 week, and then I'm going to go. And I said, but if you don't do what I want, you'll have enraged me. And they were like, well, you're not going to win a contest ever. And I said, let me break it down for you guys really fucking quickly. And I said, I won an entire show without winning a contest. I said, do you think I'm a fool? I said, you think Erica thinks Chicken George is after her? She's not. She's scared of you. You think Marcellus doesn't like my Boogie? He's not. He's scared of you. I'm not scared of you. I will come after you with, like, hell. I said, I will rain down on you like fucking anvils. I was like, see these fucking ducks? Doesn't mean shit to me. I will ruin your life, and one of you will go home. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm like, let me tell you a little story. They were like, then Janelle got really weird. She's like, well, why is my Boogie after me and Marcellus? And I said, I kind of had to show my cards. And I said, Janelle, I'm going to tell you exactly why. So my Boogie is a very sensitive guy, but he's incredibly loyal. Marcellus and Boogie and I had a deal coming in here, and Marcellus stabbed him in the back. Boogie's not coming after you, Janelle. He's coming after Marcellus. And I said, let me tell you. That worked out perfectly because of the dodgeball. Or whatever. Right. And I said, so don't be a fool. I said, you think my Boogie's coming after you? Well, the whole house is coming after you sooner or later. The problem is they're being pussies. And I said, my Boogie, you have a great thing right now because you can make a deal with him to send home Marcellus. And I said, what you don't want is me coming after you. And I said, I own 11 businesses with my Boogie. I own 2 condos. I am the smartest person you have ever met. I can memorize the shit on the wall in 3 seconds. I will crush you if you do me. And I said, now go get my Boogie. I said, here's my offer. You're going to go get my Boogie. And Janelle, you're going to feed me those cookies in this bathtub, and we're going to make a deal. So Hallie went to get you, and you wouldn't come upstairs. So I was like, fuck.
He didn't come get me.
Who did?
Danielle woke me up. She's like, you're safe. And I could tell she was drinking, so I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm nominated tomorrow.
Okay, well, Hallie went down there and said you wouldn't get up.
Well, he might have said, hey, bro, and I was just like, leave me alone. I don't remember that.
And Danielle came in, and I was like, just a puppet show, and she left, and I was like, I'll throw her under the bus. And Marcellus came in, and I was like, we're just having a puppet show, and he left, and I was like, I'll throw him under the bus. I said, you guys don't understand. Why do you think those people come out here? You think they want to see me do a puppet show in a bath? No, they're horrified because I'm alone with you. And I said, I'm going to tell this to you guys one fucking time. Not only if you put my Boogie up, am I going to come after you, but now let me give you a little chance. Let me give you something. I don't want to hear about it today. I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to wipe the slate clean. I took all the ducks off. And I said, at some point, I said, only one person from season 6 is winning this. And I said, let me ask you a question. Do you guys think my Boogie and I are dumb or smart? Do you think we're good at contests or bad? Honestly, what do you think? And they were like, I said, let me ask you a question. Why didn't I remove Janelle today? Why didn't I get rid of Janelle today? I could have. And they're like, we don't know. And I said, because I hope that Janelle is smart enough to realize that was a sign. It was a sign that I want to open the lines of communication. I was like, Hallie, we can continue the banter back and forth. You eliminate me, I eliminate you, no problem. But this right now is the opportunity for you guys to see the big picture. And they're like, oh, okay, well, what's the big picture? I go, the big picture is this, you dumb fucks. I have to tear them up. So this is the big picture. Chilltown, season 6, forms a superpower. we get rid of all the floaters. You're going to have to show us a sign of good faith. We're going to show you a sign of good faith. You're going to show us a sign. It's going to go. And when it comes down to the final 6, or if you don't want to tell James in case for the final 4, we will split $700,000 4 ways. Everyone takes home 6 figures. Everyone's happy. You have new friends, and you have a party at Geisha House you've never seen. Or one of you cannibalizes the other and walks away with 500, and the rest of you get nothing. And I said, so let me ask you a question. Right now, you're sitting in the chance. You're sitting here looking at me. The chances of each of you winning this is just Hallie and Janelle, is incredibly small. The chance of you winning this is incredibly small. However, right now, having a conversation with me, the chances of walking away with 6 figures is pretty good. And I said, and you think I care? I said, that's not anything to me. I said, you think Boggie cares? It's nothing to him. He'd rather have new friends, a cool TV show, and 6 figures than nothing, bitterness, and a low risk at 500. And they were like, so literally, it's dead silence. And Howie turns to Janelle and he goes, we're making a deal with the devil. Okay, remember that.
Anyway, get that dumb look on his face the whole time.
Yeah, but also the look of like, oh God. So I said, Janelle, listen, you do whatever you want to do. This is totally up to you. End of the day, I'm going to tell you what. If you don't trust me, put me out and get rid of me. But if you want to take a chance, let's do it. And she said, well, Boogie's coming after me. I said, you need to have a private conversation with Boogie. I said, bring him up here. Let's make a deal. You have a private conversation with Boogie. We'll work it out. So you need to have a private conversation with her today, ASAP. Then I did my diary entry, and it sucked. No,
I go to bed early, so I miss all that.
I'm going to tell you a real quick story, which is that, and I'll tell everyone, I have to be on my best behavior. They didn't really like the idea of a penalty nomination for eating. That didn't go over so well.
Okay.
And there's people I have rubbed the wrong way. And that's it. That's it.
Well, they don't like it because they put it there as a threat and their bluff was called.
Right.
And they don't want to have to deal with the production of 3 nominees.
So, in other words, it will affect your money because it's messing with your
Or
contract.
just expulsion and
No
breach
money?
of contract. Yeah.
Got it.
So anyway, I said, but we had a battle, and I'm like, but here's the rules, you know. And I said, and then they were like, look, we're not going to tell you who or why, but some people are really enraged about some of the things you've been saying, and maybe it's your strategy and maybe it's not, but you need to chill on the production tip. And they're like, we know the food competition sucked. And I was like, I haven't even mentioned that. And they're like, we know. We already talked to all the other house guests. And they're like, but you can't